Coworker thinks the PA system belongs to her. Remembered this story the other day after said coworker started meddling around with it once again. Hope I don't make it too complicated or long. Lots of details, unfortunately. First, a little background. I work at an indoor pool, and we have an attraction that we run every 30 minutes. Due to the attraction being potentially dangerous, especially to elderly people, we have a PA system in place to ring a bell in the hall as a warning. Once the bell rings, our guests have 2 minutes to get to safety or leave the pool while we lower the water level. Now the building is old. The speaker system is an old 100V system, and the original amplifier for it is long gone, so things are wired up a little hacky with the new modern amplifier. This means every room in the building has its own channel we can turn on or off, but all are fed from the same input. Our boss is not a monster and knows things can get boring or exhausting depending on the season, so they added a small web radio to the PA system, so we can have radio. And because we are all nice and friendly, we can also turn on the audio channel for the entrance, so the cashiers can have some music as well. The only problem here is, though, that volume can vary a lot due to the way the system works. One zone has 15 speakers, while another zone only has 3, but the amp sends the same voltage to both zones, so one zone will have normal audio, and the next will be too loud. I think you can see where this is going. Now, that day the swim hall was full, people were noisy, and therefore we had to up the volume for the bell to be audible to our guest, literally what the system was meant for. Fortunately, though, volume was fine for our little booth, so we had the correct volume for the hall and could still enjoy some music. Along comes EC, entitled Cashier. She comes into our booth, complains that she's bored, and turns on the channel for the entrance. We had that one turned off because the entrance has probably the least amount of speakers, so the radio would be quite loud there, so we slightly lowered the overall master volume to accommodate for it. Unfortunately, at this point, the radio is non-audible in our booth because the volume is so low. So when we rang the bell over the PA, we noticed you couldn't hear it in the swim hall at all, so we had to increase the volume and left it at that higher level. After the attraction ran, we were back in our booth. In comes EC and complains, the radio is way too loud, and goes to our PA system to lower the volume. Now I want to mention I'm only 26 YO, and she's in her 60s, but considering the hierarchy, I'm the one in control of the PA system since it's safety-relevant equipment for the pool, not entertainment. And I do take that safety equipment seriously after we had elderly people drown because they didn't hear the bell. It's already too quiet, especially in here. You can't lower it further, I say, to nail down that the volume is in fact pretty low already and that I don't want it to be lower. So what? You have phones? You can make radio yourself, she says with that smug face, which pissed me off. In our little booth, there is no Wi-Fi and we have no mobile data signal at all. Meanwhile, the entrance hall has a public Wi-Fi access point that she always uses to watch TikTok videos. We can also turn off your channel. You have a phone too. You can make your own radio as well, I say. She looks at me, pissed, and storms off. Later that day, EC went to my boss and complained that I refused to let her have music. My boss then reminded her that the company is not paying the royalty licenses to play radio in public, so she wasn't allowed to have radio in the entrance in the first place. Though we handle this pretty easy usually, since nobody is going to realistically file a lawsuit over it unless it's too loud. EC recently, though, started pulling the same shit, coming into our booth and lowering the volume repeatedly while we aren't there. We noticed after we rang the bell repeatedly and every time had to increase the volume. Boss reminded EC the other day that the license for playing radio in public is about $2,400, which the company will have her pay as she is the one that turned it on. EC is highly entitled and considers herself to be higher in the hierarchy than me due to being in the company longer. That may be true, but the PA system is still not for entertainment purposes. It's my responsibility, and I'm not going to break the amplifier by increasing and decreasing volume over and over just because she's bored and can't be bothered to use her own phone.